And Discord homies. Good to see you guys rocking and rolling. We're going to be tapping into a special conversation today with Nicole Jones, the Nicole Jones. Yes, that's who we're talking with today. We're going to be chatting about all of the barriers and hurdles that approach us as executives, as creators, as entrepreneurs. We're often thrown into the mix with all kinds of adventurous things that we have to deal with in our mind and in our social context that we jump into. So, what we're going to be tapping into today is an expert's opinion on how to overcome those barriers, how to recognize those barriers, and some practical examples of what to do and how to level up in these categories. So, let me know if you're rocking and rolling over on LinkedIn. Gabe, if you could let me know if you hear the Discord chat. We've got Dana Fellows moderating the stage here with us today, and our special guest, Nicole Jones, with her own special guest on her end as well. Welcome to Wisdom of Wizards, our Discord slash LinkedIn show that I am taking over for the day. Welcome, Nicole.
Hey, what's going on? Also, LinkedIn peeps. Um, um, so glad Virginia lives in Boston. I'm a musician, um, transition from music, biotechnology, and walk in my career. I did a lot of transitions. So in terms of people, in the same, right? Because we're our own CEO of whatever we're doing. But people typically reach out to me because they're really trying to figure out their management skills. Some people are high potentials within their corporations and need to know how to get up to the next level. I see, and as you can imagine, a lot of people right now in transitioning roles, trying to figure out what's next. During COVID, a lot of people have taken an immense amount of self-reflection time to really figure out, where they want to go next. So I'm seeing that. I'm seeing people that are trying to work on their confidence and their self-awareness. And also, a lack of a better way of putting it, you know what, just communication. Sometimes we're not good at that. Sometimes people aren't the best with managing a team or working cross functionally. So I see a lot of people who are also trying to work on communication. Some people don't really know what goes on in coaching. Some people are like,
Yeah.
yeah, they tell you
Yeah.
what to do. um, and I'm not a therapist. I am not in any way a therapist, counselor that's going to tell you kind of what you need to do in your everyday. Um, I am a coach who really wants you to be accountable for where you want to go. And so you come to me because you say, you know what, hey, Nicole, I really want to get promoted to a VP. Let's say that's what you come in for. And I'm like, okay, do you have a path? Do you know how you want to get there? And I will say there are a lot of people that come in that really know what they want and they know their outcome. And so that's great. We sit down, we start moving and shaking, and you start realizing, wow, this person has a lot of blocks going on. I don't think they know that that's what's going on for them. I don't think they realize why they're stuck, why they're not moving forward. And so, what I spend most of my time coaching on are external blocks and internal blocks. And for those of you who don't really know what a block is, it's basically something that holds us back, keeps us from moving forward. And external blocks are very easy to understand because um, usually they deal with like time or money or distance, right? If you want to buy a house, you're going to have to save money. If you want to buy a car, you're going to have to save money. If you want to spend more time with your family, you're going to have to try to figure out your schedule, right? So that you can spend
Hmm.
time with those people. But the place that really trips people up are the internal blocks. And these are just basically beliefs about yourself or the surrounding world, right? So we have these thoughts and things that we're just like, oh, it has to be done this way. This is why this happens, X, Y, and Z. And I have like a little beautiful name for it called Gales. And gremlins is like the first one that I deal with. And that is also known as your inner voice, your inner critic, that we all deal with. We have assumptions that we all deal with, interpretations, and limiting beliefs. And so, Gale, that's how that spells that. And I deal with this all the time. So, I want to kind of break these down for people to kind of understand. And I'm going to give some examples so that people are like, okay, got it. So that you can check yourself and you can understand if this is what you're kind of hanging your hat up on or you're getting stuck with. So, gremlin, we all know this. It's an inner voice that is telling you that maybe you're not good at something in one way or another, right? It's like that I am statement. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Whatever it is, we all have said it to ourselves. And if I were doing a presentation right now, I'd probably have Gizmo up because I liked Gizmo. I was not a fan of the actual Gremlin. So once it ate that daggone food, I was all set with Gremlin. But you know, look, I really struggled with the inner voice, and I still do. I call it my sabotage queen,
Hmm.
where you know she likes to kind of come out when I'm starting to feel a little unsure of myself, and it's usually when it's around something new that has been introduced to me that I'm going to be like, all right, I'm going to go do X, Y, and Z, and then I get there or I start working on a project and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm good enough, I don't know if I'm smart enough, like all these people, oh my goodness, you know, and I start having that. And I've gotten to a point now where I'm able to, you know, really talk myself down, start asking questions, which is what I ask clients, and I'll pose these for you guys. You know, it's kind of asking that the question of what makes you think you're not good enough at whatever it is, right? Like really stop and say, is that truth? Am I not smart? Am I not pretty? Am I not, um, you know, intelligent around X, Y, and Z math or whatever? And then what has happened really to make us have this belief, right? We
Yeah.
don't come up with this just to say, oh, you know, I'm not smart enough. Someone somewhere down the road told you that. And we believe that to be truth. And we've just carried this on. It could have been a parent has said something to you when you were growing up and it was kind of a joke, right? But words matter. And so we tell ourselves, we keep thinking this as we carry our lives through. And you get in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s beyond, and you're still believing something that was not true today. And so this is something that stops people in their tracks immediately all the time. It doesn't matter. People think you go to coaching because you're broken and you're not successful. No, the people that I talk are highly successful people, millionaires, like people that are doing their thing. They own their space. But when you ask them something, a question, they'll be like, oh, I don't know. I haven't done it because
Hmm.
I'm not good enough at
Yeah,
that
there's
or
always
whatever.
something under the hood, and I think you
Always.
mentioned a critical piece here that seems like a feasible starting point here is the recognition of understanding this isn't a something you just see from the surface and certain types of people that you'd expect to have these problems, low self-esteem, or their business is struggling. Even people that are doing well still
Well,
have these hurdles. So thank you to everybody that is joining us. I see the room loading up both on Discord and on LinkedIn. What we're chatting about today is how to recognize and overcome barriers in your life, whether they're internal, external, or social, kind of potentially like family or upbringing type of situations, as well as Nicole mentioned. So we're going to be chatting here for the first like 20, 30 minutes, tapping into Nicole's expertise, but stick around for the 30-minute mark. We'll open up the stage, and if there's anything that you guys want to share, ask, or just join the conversation, simply, we're gonna turn on the hand raising and stage joining adventure part of this. For those of you that are new here, it's pretty much an exact duplicate of Clubhouse. We're rocking and rolling audio only on Discord, and currently live on LinkedIn as well. So there's a link to join the Discord if you are curious. But we're chatting with Nicole about how to recognize these barriers and where they come from. So for the people that are here, we have a lot of mid-level creatives and entrepreneurs in the mix here. How do we recognize when we're hitting these hurdles? When is the moment that we know there's something here that we need to either tap into or resolve or figure out in one way or another? How do we start that journey? What type of signals or things should we be looking for and keeping top of mind?
yeah, I mean that's a really great question, Travis. I think that the one thing, it's not even a small thing, but it's when you're just not going forward. Sometimes we're just sitting there, we're just saying, man, I just can't figure it out. I don't understand. Like I used to be able to do X, Y, and Z, but now I'm struggling. And okay, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. And you just keep thinking you're going to do the same thing to get a different response, a different outcome. And there's a period of time where what you've been doing isn't working anymore. And you need to be able to understand that you need to make a shift. But you may not know what the shift is, but you have to make a shift. And that's something that we don't always like to admit, because that may mean one of those things, right? I'm not good enough. Oh my goodness, all of a sudden I don't know how to run my business, right? But
Mm,
that's not what it means. It just means that maybe there's a gap. Maybe you need to like take a training. Maybe you need to work on part of your personality or character or habit that you need to change to allow yourself to kind of break through to move forward. Um, and sometimes we sit in assumption, and that's one of the other gales that is very, I feel it's one of the most detrimental ones. I always say it's a killer of relationships, because we will assume the hell out of something before just asking the question. We will have a list of, we'll play the what if game. Well, if I send this contract over, well, they haven't sent it yet, so that must mean they don't want to work with us. We go automatically to the negative versus, hey, everyone has a lot of stuff going on right now, right? The world has changed in a matter
yeah.
of almost
Yeah.
2 years. Things aren't as easy as like black and white and yes and no anymore. There are a lot of layers, and everyone has a story. And so we have to be mindful to not sit in our desk, coffee shop, outside in our backyard thinking like, man, I can't believe they haven't gotten back to me. That must mean X, Y, and Z. right? Just
Oh
because
yeah.
something happened before
I'm,
doesn't mean it's going to definitely happen
oh,
again
I'm really
that
good.
way.
I'm really good at those. Taking a minor, like tiny social slight and
Yep.
extrapolating it to the most devastating circumstances possible.
Correct.
And I'm
Because,
like, oh my
right, that's where
god,
we go.
they're pissed off. They're gonna end their contract. They're never gonna work with me again. And then I check in with them. They're like, oh yeah, sorry, I had to take my kids to school. What's up? And
Correct.
I'm like, oh, oh man. So I know
Correct.
I'm guilty of extrapolating things far more in my head than in reality.
Right. But you know what? I want to ask you something, and I'll challenge everybody that's listening. If you actually think about how much time and energy you spent thinking about if that contract is going to come back or not, right? The example that I sometimes give when I'm talking to groups is um, you sent an email to the boss, right? Or you sent an email to a client, however you want to take this for those that are listening. And you really felt like it was going to be a timely return for them, like quick, easy. And then all of a sudden it's 10 o'clock. Now it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Now it's, you're making dinner or you're hanging out with kids or friends. And then all of a sudden it's bedtime or you're watching a late night show or whatever. And you are constantly checking, like, I can't believe these people haven't gotten back in touch. So then you start playing the whole discussion in your head of they don't want to work with me, they don't like the idea that I sent, whatever that is of they don't like. You've played now for almost 24 hours. You get up the next day, they haven't gotten back to you, and you keep playing the story. You can spend so much time focused, fixated on the negativity around why you think they haven't been getting back to you for exactly what you just said, Travis. Oh, I had to take my kid to
Yeah.
the doctor and we forgot or whatever. And if you had just either said to yourself, I'm not going to think about it until I know truth comes my way, until they actually send me that message, or if I don't hear from them in a couple days, I reach out again. But the amount of time that we all spend thinking about why when we don't even know. We don't even know. And we have no
Yeah.
control over that. Right. So we spend so much time in our heads when we could actually just let it go and spend time on other things that we actually need to get done. So this is a really big one. It ruins relationships, intimate relationships, partnerships, because there's an assumption. But for those people that work in roles where you have to make an assumption around some kind of analytics or data or whatever, I get it. And you have to make those assumptions. But when you're playing with life, when you're playing with yourself or someone else's response, you can't make those assumptions. You've got to ask. It's either, do you like bacon? Yes or no. If they don't ask, let's not assume that they like bacon. Like, you have to ask the question sometimes. And sometimes we don't have the confidence to ask the question because it could be the discussion or we could get an answer that we don't want. And
Love it.
so this
Love
is
it.
one
Yeah.
that I want people to really think about when they're sitting at their desk or sitting having their cup of coffee, of how much time they spend around the assumptive behavior.
No, this is one. Yeah, I know. I'm for sure damn guilty of it. You guys here in Discord, we can use the chat lounge here in the Green Dragon. Let us know if this is something you struggle with, the over analysis or false assumptions, or if you're pretty good in that category. I know there's some people that I envy that are somehow able to not only deflect or detach from that, but they genuinely, in like a positive way, like don't care. Whereas I can experience something and think about it the rest of the day. As you mentioned, there's other people that have this kind of like, "Oh, I don't give up" attitude,
Right.
and
Right.
I'm like genuinely envious of it. So what I would love to hear from your end, from an expert's coaching opinion, is where's the ideal balance of being entirely dismissive, of not letting external factors affect you at all, versus the opposite end of the spectrum that we've been talking about, where you can live in over analysis or overthinking. How do we find a balance or strike a balance of being in tune with that without just being entirely dismissive of everything.
Yeah, I think you have to sometimes ask yourself a question, or really it's if you're the person that's on the other spectrum that you and I were talking about, that it can just completely take over for you. It's asking like, how is this assumption or how is this feeling serving you? Right. I think
Mm.
those that are kind of like, and I don't really care about it, they have figured out, how does this serve me right now? To sit here and fester and wonder and then get overwhelmed and worry, how are those feelings going to serve me? And that's
Mm.
very important to ask, because sometimes things do need to serve you. Sometimes it's like, well, I want to know and I want to figure this out and I'm going to be worried. And right. But if this is your everyday MO, there has to be a point where you have to kind of stop and say, how is right now me thinking, worrying, things that I cannot control serving me? And just because for others who just feel like, yeah, I don't really let that bother me.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't mean that they don't give 2 cents about what's going on. It's just that they have learned how to control their feelings and outcome versus trying to control someone else's. And so
Mm.
those that get stuck in it, and I'm with you, Travis, I can get in there too, but then I have to stop and say, hey, how is it serving you right now? Because you have no control over what's going on the other side. But what you do have control over is X. So why don't we focus on X? And that's
Love
really
it.
something that we have to think about. You get that balance the more you work that muscle, the more you start being like, I'm not going to let that bother me. But just saying it is just saying it. I mean, you have to actually go through the motions of asking yourself those really honest questions at the time.
I love
But
it.
if you just tell me like, hey, Travis, you need to go over it and stop having assumptions, is Travis going to do that? No. Like, there's work to do, right? there's there's work to do.
Oh, I love
Um,
it. Yeah, lots of
so yeah.
work. That's what I think a lot of people underestimate here too, is they think you can come listen to the Nicole Jones, hear it, and then just expect things to happen. But in reality, it's like most things, it requires work, and consistency is the key factor that I see a lot of times. Any life changes that I'm making, personal or professional, it's about how can that stick and how can that actually turn into actual results. So as we approach the 30-minute mark, we are gonna, you guys start brewing your questions or anything you want to chat about. We'll open up the stage here in a little bit. But I'd love to tap into Nicole's expertise once more and see when people recognize that something needs to be done.
Mhm.
What is the starting point of translating that from, okay, I know I need to do something, to turning
Mhm.
it into a consistent habit or a result? Do you have any secret sauce or systems, or approaches or exercises from your world that we can take home or keep top of mind when these
Yeah.
moments arise?
Yeah. And the key thing that you said is need. And when it will shift for someone to actually do it is when we decide we want to do it.
Mm.
When we tell ourselves that we need or should, we're not going to. That's just how it happens. I really need to work out. I really should lose 15 pounds. Um, I really should do more networking, right? But until we embrace the fact that I want to do X, Y, and Z, it's very, very difficult for your brain to be like, okay, yeah, so I'm going to go do it. I know I should, but it just doesn't happen. So the first thing is like people have to have buy-in. You have to have buy-in with yourself. If you don't have buy-in, you're never going to do it. There's a difference between being interested and committed. And when I have clients that come to me that all of a sudden something comes up and they're just like, yeah, I'm going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm not your mom, right? So if you want to do this, then what we do is we try to break it down and be like, okay, what is one thing? See, what happens with us as humans, we just start thinking like, okay, I'm going to make this grand change. And then there's all this stuff that we have to do. You really have to just start small and be like, what is one thing? What is one small change that you can try to move towards next week? And you try it. Instead of saying, okay, you know what, I want to lose this 15 pounds. And all of a sudden, ta-da, I've lost 15 pounds in like 2 weeks. That's not going to happen. And if it does, it's probably not going to be very healthy. Right? And so it's having buy-in with yourself, being honest with yourself that I can do X, Y, and Z. See, a lot of us are overachievers. A lot of us are type A personalities. And we really, really want to succeed and excel and be the best that we can be at what we do. But we also have to be honest with ourselves that there are obstacles that can arise during our journey and things that can actually take us off our path. So you got to take it in small bites and say, what is it that I am willing, that I want to commit to do today? And I'm going to stick with this for a few months, being consistent, building upon that. Let me get a regimen. Okay, I'm going to work out 2 days a week. Okay, let me just start at 2 days. Let's not say 7, because, you know, by Monday, you may have already failed the next Monday, right? So it's starting small and building. Starting small and building. For some people that come to me, we're doing an assessment and then we're looking at the assessment and trying to figure out what's right for them. But for most people that come and they start realizing what needs to change, then we sit down and we make a plan to figure out where they want to change. But this is very, very important. You have to change the way that is beneficial for you, not for me, not for Travis, not for Dana, not for your mom, not for your spouse or whatever, for you.
Yeah.
Because that's why a lot of us are screwed up, because we're remembering our childhoods and what our parents have instilled in us and what our friends or what our grandmother or whatever. And we're trying to be all these things for all people, but we got to be what we need to be for ourselves first.
Amen. Can't we get an amen in the chat? I see this struggle so often because, especially with now, how public and how connected we are in our social environment, we see everybody else's world and situation, and it's you can't help but compare or compare yourself directly to it, and then B, expect that their results or their actions will bring you the same results. We see it over and over in every level of the space, of people trying. Well, I did what Gary Vee did for a while and it didn't work for me. Well, yeah, because you don't have a team of 40 people like following you around and editing and doing this and that. Like, it's the same thing with personal work. If you see something that works for somebody else, that might be a path to consider. But there is internal work that you need to do as an individual to understand what pieces of that are worth keeping, what do I need to change, etc.
Yep.
So yes. I'm glad that you mentioned that deep personalization part. So for those of y'all that are joining us over on LinkedIn, we are live on Discord stages at the Green Dragon Online Pub, presented by Luke Matthews. But I'm taking over today. Luke is traveling, and if you'd like to join, we have a link here in the description as well as in the comments if you want to join over on Discord. It's essentially a Clubhouse duplicate, what we're using here, this Discord stage. So with that being said, we have hit the 30-minute mark. We'd love to open up the stage to you guys, if you have a specific question or specific scenario to jump in here. We're talking about how to overcome barriers in your life, whether they're internal, external, or most likely a combination of the both. That's what we're chatting about today with Nicole Jones. Dana, I see we got some hands in the audience. We get some people, play some musical stage chairs here. bring some people up.
We're going to bring Gabe up, of course. So we'll start with
Gabe
here.
Brilliant.
What's up, Gabe?
What up, G?
Hey, how are you?
Hello, folks.
What's up, Gabe? How are you?
Good. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for asking.
Yes.
Oh, cool. So I got a
That's what we get.
question.
Yeah.
So seeing how that you deal with a lot of high level clients, people, CEOs, executives, that sort of thing, is there something that will either is there something in the process where you will either tell a client or a prospective client, hey, I can't work with you, or is there a sort of situation where you will actually fire a client yourself and be like, you know what, I'm done with this relationship?
That's a great question, Gabe. I'm going to come from the entrepreneur perspective first,
Okay.
because that's what I am, right? I'm a one-woman show, having my own business. And sometimes when we first start out, we feel like we need to work with everyone.
Yes.
There's a reason for that, because we need the experience. We may need to make money, whatever it is. But we also have to understand the values that we bring to the table and what we stand for as leaders within our own organization. And I will not work with anyone who does not want to do the work. Thank you for giving me the money, but we're not gonna, no one, it's not a win-win. And so I won't work with someone who is just not gonna do the work, who says that they want to, but then even in discovery calls, you start realizing like they haven't even done X, Y, and Z, and we haven't even started. And again, I know that I said that everyone has a story and there are things, but maybe that's not your time. Maybe you need to wait a year, or maybe you need to wait 6 months, or maybe it's just another coach that would be okay with just being like, I'll work with them anyway. I'm not a work with you anyway type of person. If you come to work with me, we are working, and I will challenge you because I want you to get the best out of what you want to be doing. I will fire if someone's inappropriate, if someone's saying things to me that's inappropriate. I've never had that, but I worked in environments like that in corporate that if I could have fired them, I would have. And so I'm working for myself, and it's very important to know what you stand for. And so if someone doesn't want to come be with me because I'm a woman or I'm black or I'm this or whatever, I don't need to work with them. I want to work with people that want to work with me, that want to see change, that want to see growth.
Ooh, wonderful answer. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking.
I'm going to bring Andy up.
Love it.
Come on up, Andy.
Andy, welcome to the party, brother.
Hi, Andy.
Very much. Hi, Nicole. That was really fantastic. I mean, I really love the GALES acronym for dealing with the inner critic, and especially, the point that you made about turning those negative statements into questions. The sort of "I'm not able to" "Am I not able to?"
Mm-hmm.
I find when I deal with clients, I can give fast solutions because I'm not, if you like, invested in the situation. I'm not sort of emotionally married to the situation.
Right.
But obviously, I can't apply the same sort of thing to myself. So I was wondering if sort of technique. Yeah, exactly right. How
Right.
can you sort of step back from it and get a more objective perspective of the problem that you're dealing with? Do you recommend anything like that, or not? Or
Are you saying for yourself?
yeah, absolutely,
Personally?
absolutely.
Look, I think that oftentimes, we can work with people and it's very easy to see other people's problems, right?
Yes.
We are it's so easy. But I actually took so when COVID hit, I took an entire year off. We're not looking at social media. I'm not getting into the whole trap of just going, doing. I
Yeah.
decided there's a reason why all this is happening. And I need to look internally and be introspective myself. And so I took time to ask myself hard questions and was questioning, like, are you lying to yourself? Because you can't really show up for others if you're not being truthful to yourself.
Yes.
And so I had to take a step back and I had to turn and knock out the noise and just be okay with myself and start asking, the work that you're doing currently in your coaching business, is that sticking to your purpose?
Yeah.
Are you offering the outcome that you want your client, or your clients receiving the outcome that you want them to receive. Like, I really had to get like really, really in the nitty gritty with myself, right? Because when we're working 24/7, when you have your own business and you're doing everything from the bolts all the way up, we don't have time to breathe, I feel like sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I really took that moment. It's so important for us to just go away from it all, go off grid, and just take time to say, how am I showing up? Do I like the way I'm showing up for myself? And how am I showing up for others? How am I showing up for clients? How am I showing up as an employee? Those are
Yeah,
important
I really
questions to
like that.
ask.
Yeah.
Very
I think
important
it's
questions
like
to ask.
what I got from that is don't wait until you've got a problem, but keep
Yes.
focused on your purpose, and from time to time reflect back on your purpose and think, am I moving towards that purpose, so to speak? It's like a
Yeah.
kind of reinforcement, I guess.
Yeah. And sometimes we have this purpose, and then sometimes we're just doing all this other stuff. And you have to stop and be like, am I really moving my purpose along? Or am I just kind of like hanging out over here? Right.
Yeah.
So sometimes we have to
Yeah.
redirect ourselves to make sure, am I still doing my purpose? And also ask yourself, has my purpose changed? Does it need to
Yes.
be tweaked? Right? Just because we said this is what our purpose was or is, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 6 months ago, you have experiences and things with other people and conversations with other people and situations that have happened that may now have refocused or redirected your purpose. And you need to
Yeah.
be okay with where you are to say, you know what, I need to tweak a little bit. I need a timeout. Let me see if I need to figure this out a little bit more, and then I'll move forward. It's okay to take a step back to go, 100 moves ahead. It's okay to take that step back, because at the end of the day, it's about Andy. Like, are
Yeah.
you okay with where you are? It's not, who cares if I think you're not where you need to be? You need to be okay with where you are. It's your own success and it's your own story.
Yeah, I got you. It's nice. He's sometimes a real pain in my ass, that Andy guy, let me tell you.
Hey, you know what? Hey, my inner voice, her name is Sabotage Queen, and she can be a really big pain in my ass, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
So I get it.
That's fantastic, Nicole. Thank you. And thanks, guys, for hosting. It's fantastic yet again. Every week is
Thank you,
great.
Andy. It was great speaking
Thank
to you.
you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna bring
Cheers.
Kevin on up.
Thank you, Andy. Kev in the
Six.
house.
What's up? Is this the only way I get to talk to you? Hey,
Yeah.
Yo. Don't do that. Don't make people think that I'm a horrible friend. Don't
No,
do
you're
that.
great. I'm
Hey,
excited to
I
see
check
you.
in with you from time to time. We
No, I
voice
know.
note each other.
We do.
No.
We do.
Okay.
No, basically, I'm so excited to see you. So thank you for coming up.
No, it's wonderful. Thank you for providing the platform, everybody. Dana, Travis, and Nicole, thank you.
Yeah.
Just kind of keying in on kind of what you and Gabe were talking about, and just a question as to that. So you've been coaching for a while, and as of recently, and even my own friends, I have some friends that are leaving their jobs to become coaches. And so there's a lot of, as we've all seen, there's a lot of newly minted coaches over the last 2 years. So for those newly minted coaches, oftentimes they're going to have to deal with this situation that maybe you could help with. Would be something like this: a situation where you get a client that you find out you don't work well with, but they're paying you and you need that money. Have you worked through that situation before, where you needed that money, but you had that client, and did you keep them? Did you let them go? Like, how did you go through that decision process?
Well, so first of all, great question. I have not actually had to let go of a client.
That's good.
But I always look at it from the perspective of when I was, working in corporate or whatever, the way that you look at things. Sometimes we take things that we don't want to because of circumstances, right? And sometimes money should not be the thing that wins, but in some cases, and especially now for a lot of people, it may win, right? There's a lot going on. If you have to, okay, I'm going to say the have to, need to. I'm not going to say the want, but if you have to, need to, there's nothing else that you feel you can do to earn this money, and you have to take this gig. It's going to be tough. it's going to be tough because your personality is still always going to show up. And while you think that you can just be like, all right, I'm going to take it, no big deal, I'll just deal with it. Dealing with it can do a couple of things for you. It may not allow you to grow and blossom and work with a client that's actually going to be, what you really want to see in your business. But it can also make you start questioning why you're doing what you're currently doing because of a person who is just hitting hard all the time for you. So while we may need to take the money because we're in a situation that we have no other way, there's still going to be some barriers that are gonna be there for you, or for people that are thinking about this. If you are able to walk away 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say walk away. I gotta say walk away because there's more drama than what you see. But when people present a little bit of the red flags in the beginning, that's what it is. We all know that's what it is. Even though people have a story, we know it's not going to change.
I love that.
Mm-mm.
It speaks to follow your gut. I love that.
Yeah. It does really speak to follow your gut because we know it. Everybody that has left corporate and the things that we've had to deal with in corporate, we know how the story usually ends. Now, again, I did talk about assumption, and we shouldn't always rest our laurels on that, maybe this will be better this time. But if you're going in with red flags, it's already red flags. It's going to be a lot of work for you to pull out of the red flag bucket to get to the end of the whole gig with this consulting gig or coaching client or whatever it is. It's going to take a lot of work to get out of that. So it's sometimes we have to take what we have to take. I hear it, but then you also have to accept what may come with the have to.
Love that. I love that. Thank you.
Do
You're
you have
welcome.
anything else, Kevin, before I bring Jamal up?
Nah, please go ahead and bring Jamal. Thank you so much, guys.
Ooh.
Thank
you,
you,
So
Kev.
good to see you, Kev.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
All right,
Yo.
Jamal, come.
This room, though. How about this room, though?
Loving it. Loving it.
Yeah.
What's up, Jamal? Good to see you.
What's going on, sis?
Hey.
Dropping a lot of wisdom bombs here. So my question is pretty simple. Because I know you've been a certified coach for a while now.
Yep.
I'm more on the counseling end, kind of digging into the mind. And I've been approached a lot for the better part of like 7 months. You ever thought about doing group counseling, group coaching? I've done a lot of public speaking before, massive groups, and done group counseling. But as far as through LinkedIn, I usually take clients one-on-one. Have you expanded your coaching past just the one-on-one client? Have you done group? And what's a good, smart way to go about doing that?
Yeah. Thanks for your question. And I'm so excited about your journey where you are now. So congrats. I just started a group coaching client today. So super excited. We had our first session today. The way that I got this group coaching session is actually at a company. It's a group of 8 women who has struggled during COVID with being moms at home and also wanting to move their careers forward. And so they saw me presented their company for something completely differently, and they decided maybe they wanted to reach out to some coaches to see if they could bring someone in. Group coaching versus team coaching, it's very different. I saw myself more of probably doing team coaching because we all have like one goal and we're all trying to get there and we're trying to move the company forward. But the reason why I took this and I put myself in the ring with people that have done this before, and I was so excited to get to win out this whole deal, right? Because I was up front. I was like, look, I haven't done group coaching before. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't want to get something my way, and then they realize I don't know what I'm doing or something. So I was very upfront about it. But the thing about it is understanding your approach. Like, I know how I approach individual coaching, but I also know that I can give what people need in a group, and it's understanding there's a period of facilitation yet also coaching. You got to understand the ebb and flow of a group scenario and dynamics, right? Not everyone's going to want to speak. There are going to be those that want to be on the horn every 5 minutes to talk about something and how they feel and how it's transformed them and that kind of thing. So it's a balance. But I would say you want to take a group or a team type of coaching, counseling kind of idea that really fits with who you are. Really fits with who you are. I'm a woman who's a mom. Okay. While that's not my niche market, I'm looking at leaders and helping them unlock. Well, women fall under leaders, right?
Right.
And I'm a mom, and I just felt like I'd be able to, as a mom of an older mom who was in corporate, and then now I'm an entrepreneur whose now kid is 8. Like I still felt like I could relate, right? So it's your relatability in terms of what you bring to the table, and you bring an immense amount of information to the table in a group setting. Like I would love to benefit from a group setting with Jamal, right? And I could see that as a team as well. I don't BS, I'm being true. So I see you being able to do that, but you want to be able to do it in the guise that works for you and your style. And if you're doing more of a counseling, you also have to make sure that that environment is a safe environment, for people to feel like they can open up. And so that's a really big thing of setting the ground rules. I was very clear in my ground rules today in terms of keeping it a safe space and confidentiality, because I won't do it if people start breaching all of that. I won't do it because that's detrimental to people.
Right. Spoken like a pro as always. Always a blessing. So I hope this is being recorded back because I'll definitely be listening to this. Thanks so much, Nicole.
Thank you, my dear. I'll be in touch. Good seeing you.
For sure.
Thank you, Jamal. Thank you.
Thanks.
Love it. Thank you so much, Jamal. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have hit the 45-minute mark. If you want to sneak in a quick question, you can use the raise hand feature here in Discord stages. If you're over on LinkedIn, feel free to drop a comment if you're able to, or hop over to the Discord. There's a link in the description as well as in the comments. We're chilling with executive coach, and she's got a lot of experience beyond coaching as well, as we're discovering as well, in the building. Nicole Jones, thank you for sharing your time with us today. It's been as Jamal alluded to, bomb after bomb that you've been dropping. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today.
Thank you so much. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. This is my first time really trying to act like I know what I'm doing on Discord. And I've had an account, I think, since I was on a show with Gabe, because I accidentally signed up. And everyone's always talking about Discord. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, what? I don't know. Like, there's a lot of people chatting. I don't know what this is all about. But honestly, this has been brilliant. Like, I've enjoyed being on this stage. I see myself coming back and engaging with people in the Green Dragon. It's been awesome. So I really appreciate the opportunity. I want to thank Luke Matthews. I want to thank you, Travis and Dana, for bringing me here on the stage and giving a message. I hope everyone was able to take some kind of insight for them to move their career forward, their business forward. If you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Nicole. Everybody that's hanging with us today, connect with Nicole on LinkedIn. She's tagged here on the stream. You can clearly see her Discord thing here in the stage. So yeah, let's keep it rolling. This is just a single moment of the 24/7 Discord adventures that are going on here. So would love to have all you guys that are hanging over on LinkedIn to join the party, and everybody that's already ahead of the game on Discord. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this adventure today. Where else, for anybody that's curious to work with you, Nicole, or find you elsewhere, what's the best way that people can sync up and connect with you?
Sure. I have a website. It's NicoleJonesCoaching.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Nicole Jones Coaching. And like you said, LinkedIn. So I'm pretty accessible.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. Do you have any final words to share with our audience before we start tapping out here.
Yes. The one last thing I will say is when I was in corporate, I worked with a gentleman who, actually a CEO, um, who, in my craziness of getting into biotechnology, my boss who hired me left six weeks after I was there. Her boss was pregnant at the time, was leaving, and I kind of thought to myself, like, why am I like? I don't even know what I'm going to do. I don't even know what's going on at the company. I can't run a department. I don't know anything. And he brought me down to his office, and we had a long talk, and I was nervous as I don't know what. And he said, you know, I'm going to tell you something. When you give someone room to grow, they often surprise you, but more importantly, they will surprise themselves. And I will never forget him saying that to me, because I feel like sometimes we don't give ourselves permission. We don't give ourselves that room to grow, just to see how amazing we can become. Sometimes we just give that space to others. And so I just want to say, give yourself permission to grow, to try new things, and to go after what you're really trying to attain. So that's my final words. And I appreciate all of you for being here today.
Oh,
I-
man. Love it.
I appreciate Nicole for that exact thing. She has taught me to give myself permission.
Oh,
And this,
thank you, Dina.
thank you. You have taught me this year to give myself permission. It was something I had never done before, and it has made a tremendous difference in my life. So thank you for that.
Mm,
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Love it. No,
Thank you.
this is what it is all about, folks. Exactly what she's mentioning. So much of this is internal. We make these barriers in our head. Often it's always way worse in our head than in reality. I can only double down on the exact same thing Dana was mentioning. Stepping into those moments when they arise, addressing that conflict, and putting in the work will help you break through those barriers of resistance. And more likely than not, you're gonna surprise yourself. I did this exact same this last year. I still still have the imposter syndrome of I barely have any idea what I'm doing over here, but it's working out great. So would love to encourage anybody that's hitting those barriers, reach out to Nicole directly. Or if you're already a part of our community, our Discord community, we have so many people cheering each other on, helping each other from like deep one-on-one emotional stuff to like, hey, my mic is broken, can somebody help me? Like all of
I need to
that
be in
stuff.
that group.
We have resources, we have people that are here to help. So plug into this community, connect with Nicole, and connect with all the brilliant people here, and hang out in Discord more often. There's my pitch.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I love your pitch, Travis. It sounded great to me. I'll definitely be in the broken mic group if there's a group for that, or how to set
That
up
at the Green
Discord, or
we could do that on Discord at the Green Dragon, and don't forget Travis over at the Beast Node too. So the community, we have a really strong community here, and like Travis said, from one-on-one to tech help and everything in between. If there's anything I've enjoyed with Discord is the community, and it goes to the movie that Charlie had made for you, Travis. Community is so important. We're here to help each other. Thank you for that, and thank you for being here, Nicole, and everybody here. Thank you for being with us today on Discord and on LinkedIn.
Boom.
have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much.
There it is, folks. Enjoy your day. Thank you for attending Wizards of Wisdom Special Edition with the Nicole Jones. Take care, y'all. Dope. That was amazing. Thank you guys for joining this over here on LinkedIn. If you are curious to tap into the adventures going on over in Discord, reach out to me directly. There's links in the description here. But we've got a 24/7 community thing rocking and rolling. We would love to have you as a part of it. So thanks for joining this special edition of Luke Matthews' Wizards of Wisdom today with Nicole Jones. Brilliant guest we're able to hear from. So thanks for joining the party. Appreciate your support.